You could be in good mental health today or in the morning. It is not a guarantee that tomorrow you'll be at the same place. So it is not static. And if you are in the crisis stage, that's not the end. Professionals can help you to move back to the other phases. So this is a continuum, something that is happening all the time. But it's important that occasionally, like we are doing today, we stop and ask ourselves, where am I in terms of my mental health? Okay, so I hope you all find ourselves where we are. Have you found your spot? Or you don't want to know? So find your spot. My friends on the virtual platform, I hope you found your spot too. I don't want you to tell me, but I want you to know. It's important that we are aware of where we are, so that if there's the need for improvement, we can improve. If we are the excelling end, what else can we do to make sure that we stay there, so that we don't go back into either struggling or surviving? Surviving means that you're barely living back. Anything, the slightest thing can push you over the edge. Okay, so we all know where we are. By the end of this presentation, we will know where we want to be from here. Okay, can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, please go to the next slide. I've talked about this. Okay. Okay, so I was talking about what are the causes, what causes mental health problems? There are several factors, but the two major factors are what we have on the slide. The first is that we all have certain hormones or certain chemicals in our brains that control how we feel. For some of us, it's not our fault. We didn't do anything. We were born with limited amount of these chemicals. So it's either you have too much of the chemical or you have too little. Either way, it predisposes you to developing a mental health problem. For example, we know that schizophrenia is one condition that we inherit. It's something that is passed on. It can be passed on from one generation to the other. So you didn't do anything. It's not like you offended God or something. No, it's the brain issue. And then, don't worry about this picture. It's not helping. Okay. Then the other one is that you encounter major events in your life. I don't want to ask you to tell me the things that you have gone through, but the things you go through in your life, they accumulate. Just think about having a car. You drive it every now and then, you have to go and tune it up, send it for service. If you don't send this for service, then one day you are driving, it breaks out on the road, and you are there. That is how mental health issues are also like. You experience one issue after another, and they accumulate. So it gets to a point where a human being, you break down. So when we have stressful events, it could be death of a family, it could be abuse in a relationship, it could be sickness or illness in the family, so many things that may be going on in our lives. That makes us, become weaker and weaker, and that can affect our mental health in general. So these 2 points, it's either it's a brain chemical that is not functioning well, or you've encountered several stresses or traumas in your life. Oftentimes, we see that they work together. So let's say I have the chemical, I don't have enough. And now I also experience stress. It's like combined, it's a double effect. And that makes it easy for me to have mental health issues. Okay. Okay. So we have talked about what mental health issues are, not the myths about them. We've talked about what contributes or causes mental health problems. Now I want to spend the remaining time to discuss ways that we can improve, certain things we can do now. They are going to serve like a deposit for you. It's like you have some savings in the bank. So when you miss stress, you go to the bank and withdraw small. So there's the next few ways or factors I'm going to talk about. I hope we can practice them on a daily basis to improve our mental health. So here are the 5. I want you to, if you leave here, you don't remember anything, just remember the 5 things. The first is stress. How can we manage stress? And I said that Africans are good at managing stress because we live in a setting, we don't have control of so many things. Electricity, you don't have control by it. Internet, you don't have control. Traffic, you don't have control by it. If you are not careful, you get exasperated. It's like you become overwhelmed, right? So how do you manage that stress and other major stresses in your life? Then we're going to talk about something that as Christians we all are enjoined to do, that is practicing forgiveness. Forgiving others and forgiving ourselves. Some of us, we made some mistakes in our lives, maybe some years ago, and we've never forgiven ourselves. And so it becomes a heavy load that we are carrying. And I remember Auntie saying that we want to leave any load that we are carrying that is not helpful. Leave it behind so that we can move on. So we'll talk about forgiveness briefly. And we talk about how to cultivate positive feelings. They don't come by chance. We have to work on them. And then how to manage difficult or negative feelings. Look at the word. I said manage, not remove. Whilst we are here on this planet, we can't remove all negative feelings, but we can learn how to manage them. Then sometimes we go through all these 4 steps and we still have issues. We talk about when to seek professional help. Okay, so please let's look at stress. Okay, so stress is a natural response. I've talked about it, that there are 3 responses to stress. It's the fight, flight, or freeze. There are certain problems that come our way. We can't fight them. Maybe they are beyond us. So we feel like running away. I talked about that. There are certain stresses that come our way that we think, oh, I have the mental capacity. This issue, don't worry, I'll solve it. Give me 2 minutes, I'll go and deal with it, right? So we fight it. And there are some, they overpower us, okay? So how our body reminds us that there's a demand on your life. It's stress, it's a mechanism, it's built into us. It's a natural way when we encounter issues, our minds, our brains receive signal. There is a demand, do something about it. And that's our body's way of communicating with us. Okay. So look at this man. When you are stressed, this is how your body is going to respond. Some people, when they feel extreme headaches, right? Some people, they lose their appetite. Some people, they have stomach upset, back pains. You go to the hospital, the doctor says there's nothing wrong with you. You do all the labs, they say there's nothing. That's when you start thinking, is someone trying to do something? No, nobody is doing anything to you. It is stress. Stress can manifest in that way. You see, when you receive a signal, that's the demand, the information travels throughout your whole body. And so the effect of stress also affects all parts of the body. And so that's how you see it. So I want you to think for a moment and ask yourself, how do I respond when I feel stressed? We all have different ways of responding. For some people, the moment they feel they have a headache, they know that it's because of the stress. For some people, if they realize that I have neck pain, back pain, it's an indication of stress, right? And so we have to know how do I manifest my stress in my body when I'm feeling stressed. This is the next slide. Okay, so stresses can be caused by several things. There could be major things. I have examples here. Family violence. If you are living in a home, there's constant fight, bickering between husband and wife and children, that is a major stressor. Or you are not feeling well. Maybe you've been diagnosed with a health problem, or your child has been diagnosed with a health problem. That is a major stressor. Or somebody says something really bad to you, or they're insulting you, or they're, saying all kinds of things that are not true about you. That is a major stressor. And for our little ones, you think that, oh, when school is off, they are happy. They can be happy for a few weekdays. The rest of it is stressful because they have too much time on their hand. They don't know what to do. So that's also a form of stress for them. All right. Stress can also come from little things. In fact, these are the ones you are not paying attention to them. Minor arguments, unnecessary arguments that keep building up. These are minor things that you don't see them as a major issue, but they come back as a stressor. Or not knowing what the future holds. Some of us, we want to know everything in detail. So if there's a condition or there's a problem, I don't have the answer now. That's the stressor for me. Okay. Now, how does stress affect how you think and how you feel? For some people, when they feel stressed, they start thinking about negative things. Remember, I said mental health is about how you think, how you feel, and how you behave. So they start thinking. So let me give you an example. Maybe you are concerned about your finances, right? Or your rent is due or something, financial issue. All of a sudden, you start thinking about all the bad things that happen. You are thinking about worst case scenario. They haven't happened though, but you're already there. Your mind has traveled ahead of you. And you are thinking about all the evil things that will happen to you because your finances are not well today. So what is happening? You are not living in the present. You have gone ahead, right? And so that is the major stressor. And so how we think when we are feeling stressed is a problem. So some people, they start thinking, they become angry. You haven't done anything, like Andy was saying. If you beat me, problem. If you don't beat me, problem. So it's like there's no way out. It feels like you are caught in this whirlwind. And negative emotions, they travel in company. You start feeling angry, then you're feeling annoyed, you feel fear, you feel guilt, and they keep spiraling on and on and on. It's like you are trapped. You can't get yourself out of that loop. Okay, so what do? You yell at people, shout at them, but mommy, I haven't done anything. And you know she has, or your child hasn't done anything, but they receive the end of your brands, right? For some people, they are withdrawal behavior, they don't do anything, so they'll just go and sit in front of the TV. That is more, we see that more in men. When they are stressed, they feel completely overwhelmed. They go and sit in front of the TV or go and watch some football and forget about their problems, right? There are so many things, abusing substances and others, just to manage the stress. But these are not effective strategies to deal with stress. So what is an effective strategy? An effective strategy when you are feeling stressed, please stop. Remember, I asked you, when are you going to get a free time? There's no free time. So you have to intentionally stop yourself and ask yourself, why am I feeling so angry today? Where is this coming from? The interesting thing about negative emotions is that the moment you talk about them, they lose their power over you. But if you ignore them, it's like trying to push a balloon underwater. It will keep bouncing back, bouncing back. So it is better we stop, focus, and ask ourselves, where is this coming from? Okay. Sometimes we have to attend to our beliefs and our thoughts. I'm going to give you an example. You are trying to call a friend. You have made an arrangement that you are going for a party or going for an event. You call the friend and they don't answer. And you say, maybe the person has ignored me. How are you going to feel? If you feel like the person has not taken the appointment seriously and they are not answering your calls, you're going to feel angry. It's because of what you thought. So when we start thinking extreme thoughts about events in our lives, we are setting ourselves for extreme negative feelings. So we want to pay attention to how we think when things go wrong or things don't go our way. Stop and ask yourself, is this thought I'm having consistent or rational? Right? I often use the example like this. Maybe you are calling your partner, your husband, and they are not answering. If you say, oh, perhaps the person is in a meeting, you will not get angry. But if you say, perhaps he's gone to some bar to drink, you are going to get angry. Meanwhile, it's not, you don't know, you don't have the facts yet. You are basing it on wrong things. So we have to manage our thoughts and what our beliefs about people's behavior. And that will also help us to manage our feelings. Okay. Other ways to manage stress is to learn to control the things that are within your control. What are the things within your control? There are only three: your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own behavior. You cannot control another individual. You can control them for some of the time, but not all of the time. And I was saying that in Ghana, there are certain things that are not under our control, so we shouldn't bother about it. Or even wherever else you are not in control of the electricity. You are not in control of the national budget. You are not in control of e-levy. So these are things that are outside your control. You can think about them, but don't let them preoccupy your time. You have things that are within your control. Take charge of them. Also, you have to learn to improve our problem-solving skills. There are some problems when they come. If we react emotionally, we are not solving the problem. So stop and ask, what needs to be done? Who can help me with this issue? Who can I delegate to? We don't have to do everything ourselves all the time. Some of us, we don't want to assign anybody, we don't trust anybody. So we want to do everything by ourselves. And we end up having piles and piles of things, and our stress blows up to the roof. And we are shouting at everybody, and people are saying you are a bad person. You see? So we have to learn, who can I delegate? What can I do? And also the last thing under stress, we have to learn how to manage our time. You are quite elderly, so I don't expect that you are trapped with the social media for real. Like a lot of people are spending so much time on social media, so that may not be your preoccupation. But some of us, we put so many things in a day, right? I have to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, up to Z. That is too much. When we put so many things in a day, when one thing goes off, every other thing falls apart, and we are going to get upset. So we have to learn how to space the things we put within a day. Okay. Now the first strategy is managing stress. The second one is practicing forgiveness. How are we doing on time? So I keep going. Okay. Practice forgiveness. And I mentioned that we all make mistakes. Others make mistakes against us. But some of us, we are very good at forgiving others, but we are not good at forgiving ourselves. And so we carry that burden with us. What do we know? We know that when people have unforgiveness, it's a form of stress. You see the person, your heart jumps. Nothing has transpired, but your heart rate is beating faster because you have seen somebody you are nursing a grudge against. The person is going and you are stuck. So they said unforgiveness is like taking poison and expecting the other person to die. You have taken poison. But unforgiveness is the poison you have taken. The other person doesn't suffer. You suffer. So how do you go about forgiving others? There are two ways. The first one is to make a decision to forgive. Just tell yourself, this thing that the person has done against me, this is how much hurt I am. I'm going to try to forgive the person. Just by saying that, you reduce your stress level to half. This is based on research. We've done the research in Ghana. It's been done all over the world. Whenever people make an intention that they are going to forgive, that alone reduces their stress level. Then after you have made the decision, the next one is emotional forgiveness. That one, it takes a bit of time. And saying I'll forgive you doesn't mean I'll forgive you. It takes time. This is the time you are trying to develop some sympathy for the person. You are not forgiving them because they deserve it. Think of forgiveness as a gift that you are giving them. And as Christians, we are enjoying to forgive. Is that not it? So that scriptural command asking us to forgive should help us to now think of the person in positive terms. Think about some compassion you extend to them. When you do that, you are benefiting yourself. The same strategy, please use it for yourself. The things you are holding yourself to, the things you feel embarrassed about, feel free to let go, because unforgiveness is like a hook. It holds you back. You are going and it's pulling you. You are not able to move forward. So it's important that we unhook ourselves and practice forgiveness towards ourselves and towards others. Okay. Now, the third strategy is to cultivate positive feelings. I'm going fast because we've spent some time. When we finish, I'll leave space for some questions. So, how do we mean by cultivating positive feelings? Please, when you wake up in the morning and you feel down, you feel you are not sure of the day, reflect. What am I grateful for today? Not tomorrow, not 1 year, not 100 years. Today, maybe waking up alone, you are grateful for that. You know what that does? Once you start with contentment, other positive feelings will develop. And positive feelings are infectious. When you start feeling happy, you go around people, they also become happy, right? So it has a positive effect on us. Okay. You look for joy in the ordinary. Some people, they want to maybe get 1 million before they feel happy. That is beyond some of us. Some of us will not get the 1 million. So the small things, that banku you are eating, does it taste good? Enjoy it and be grateful for that. Ordinary things, so not big things, please. Okay. Now, we also want to reflect on positive things that happened in the past. Maybe take a picture. Sometimes you scroll through your phone pictures and see, hey, this is where we went for the party. This is where we were having church services. They activate positive feelings for you, right? Things about the past, but don't stay there for long. You want to come into the present. The people around you, do you appreciate them? Are you thankful that you have all these people around you? These are the things that are going to help increase positive feelings in you. So we think about the past, we think about the present. Look for small things to be thankful for. Okay. One of the things we want to invest in is positive relationships. If you surround yourself with negative people with a lot of negativity. You yourself will not be positive. So let's surround ourselves with positive people, people who are not coming to gossip or tell you all the evil things that are going on in the world. Some people, their business is that they are looking for unpleasant news and sharing. Have you heard this? Have you heard? Just bringing you down. So we surround ourselves with positive people, but we also have to work on our relationships, right? So if you are married, invest time in your relationship. If you have children, invest time in your children. These are the things that are going to keep us happy, help us to keep some positivity in our lives. Please, let's go on. Now, managing negative emotions. When I talk about negative or difficult emotions, these are the feelings I'm talking about. I'm talking about sadness, shame, fear, grief, envy, doubt, jealousy. All these emotions are difficult emotions. They develop when things are not going well for us. We can't throw them away. Can you imagine that somebody suffers a loss and they say, oh, as for me, I want to keep positive emotions, so they won't cry, they won't grieve, and they are smiling. That's a problem. So sadness has a role in our lives. When we lose something important to us, it is not a crime that we are crying or grieving. But then at some point, we allow ourselves to manage the grief so that it doesn't overpower us. Remember that positive emotions, they spiral up, negative emotions do the opposite. When you start feeling, let's say, boredom, doubt, they keep sinking you, keep down, down, down. If you like, try, do an experiment. In the morning, think about all the sad news. By afternoon, think about all the sad things that people have done to you. By evening, your mood will be dark. They send you down, and they don't send you alone. They send other people around you. They also start feeling sad. Hey, mommy is sad. So they also go and sit down and they are sad. Everybody is sad, right? So when we see negative or difficult emotions, I gave the example, it's like pushing balloon underwater. It will come back, it floats. Balloons cannot stay under. So what we do is that we fast it very early so that it does not overpower us. Okay. So the first step to managing negative or difficult feelings, please stop, ask yourself, what am I feeling? That's the first way you are trying to bust that balloon so that it doesn't overshadow you. Name it. Is it sadness? Is it guilt? Is it shame? Whatever emotion you are feeling, that difficult emotion, name it, and it has no hold over you anymore. Don't ignore it. If you ignore it, you are pushing yourself towards a very difficult place. Okay. What if you've done all of these and yet you have challenges? There are some people, they'll come and say that, Madam, I don't have a problem. I have money. My husband loves me. Everything is going well. And still, I don't feel happy. Remember, I said that sometimes it's an issue of mental, maybe brain chemicals that is down. So they are not responsible for what they are feeling, but they are feeling that anyway. This is the time to seek professional help, right? And we know that it is difficult in our country. If somebody says, I have a mental health problem, all of a sudden they will stigmatize it. So people have the difficulty seeking help. So if you have a family member, and from what we talked about, you suspect that, I think you should talk to a professional, help them. Some people, they can't come alone and see a professional. They need a family member who will encourage them, talk to them, support them, and then they will come and seek the professional help that they need. Seeking help is not a sign of weakness. When you seek mental health professionals' assistance, it doesn't mean you are weak. No, it takes a lot of courage to say, I have a problem. And so it's important that we take that necessary step. We know from research in Ghana here, Madam has done some herself, we know that mental health professionals can help people. Like the continuum I showed you. If you're in a crisis state, we can help you all the way to a point where you are able to manage your mental health properly. Don't stay alone. Don't hide the problem. When we hide it for a long period, it becomes difficult to get the needed help. But if we see any sign and we seek immediate attention, a professional will go through, try to understand all your presenting issues, the problems you are having, and they'll be able to like tell you, okay, this is what is going on. These are the practical steps we are going to take to help you. Most of the people who seek professional help, they do better. They are able to resolve their mental health issues. So we encourage all, if you can't, it could be you, it could be a friend, it could be a neighbor, support them to seek help when that is needed. I think that's my last slide, isn't it? So just to recap, we talked about 5 ways to manage your mental health. Please master stress, learn to forgive yourself and others, learn to cultivate positive emotions, learn to manage negative or difficult emotions. And if at all you feel overwhelmed, please seek professional help. There are so many people who are eager to help. That's their job. They've learned it and they are eager to help anyone who needs this kind of assistance. Thank you very much. At this point,
oh, praise the Lord.
Amen.
Praise the Lord. We give time for questions. It's time for questions and answers so that Doc can help us. Please don't feel shy. I don't know whether shyness is part of it.
Yes.
Yeah. So please, yeah, you can ask it. Please, those online, you can type your questions and we'll read it, and the doctor will answer. Thank you.
She wants to fight.
Fight who? Fight who?
Anybody at all. I tell you, and when that happens, the next day and someone else and then so I decided then when I or buy the same thing, then we have to have mine. But if that one
Thank you very much. So, for the sake of our brothers and sisters on the virtual, I'm just going to repeat the question. The question is about, would it be fair to say your mom is elderly? Yes. Okay. An 85-year-old woman who seems to be experiencing what we say cognitive decline. When, as you age, it's not for everyone though, but as you age, some people develop cognitive people, they forget easily. It's like the behavior is not, they are not in control of it. Let me put it that way. So she's not doing that intentionally. It's beyond her control. For aged cases like this, is perhaps some of the brain areas are no longer functioning the way they should. So if it's 85, it's a cognitive decline, and that's the issue. She's not doing it intentionally. Some people will beat the older women or older people when they start behaving like this, and that's not appropriate. It's because of the age. It's the effect of age and not an intentional issue. If it persists, you can please seek some professional help. They will teach her specific things. They'll make life a bit simpler for her. This is where I put my thing. This is how I want to communicate with people. Simple things. Because 85, you've lived so long, you've accumulated so much memories that it's like an overflow. Do you understand it? And so she's not doing the main point is that she's not doing it intentionally. She may not even be so much aware that this is how she's behaving, and it's perhaps because of cognitive or thinking decline. Let me see, thinking decline in the thinking because of the age. All right, thank you. Any other question? Yes,
No.
please. Mhm. Yes, 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 yes. So the question is, how do you help someone who has just delivered and is having crying spells, like she's crying all the time? That is postpartum depression. What? So postpartum depression, I mentioned that because of the hormonal changes associated with childbirth, some people become overwhelmed. So extreme feelings of sadness like this, such ones, they need a lot of support. She herself, she can't even tell you why she's crying. They need a lot of support. They need professional assistance too. Over time, she will be able to come out of that phase, right? For some women, they even, I mean, some of the sad cases, they end up hurting the babies because they feel the baby is a nuisance. They don't like the baby they're giving birth to and all kinds of things. So they need a lot of support. It is not because you are not doing something right. That's why they are crying. They themselves, they don't understand it because of the chemical imbalance that has happened as a result of childbirth. Some people too, after giving birth, they start hearing voice. That is called postpartum psychosis. You see, the, the person has finished giving birth. We should clap for all our mothers here who have done it. You see, in a traditional setup, a woman gives birth and she's pampered. Because childbirth is traumatic. It's your whole body changes. The chemical influx too much. And so some women come out and they are traumatized. And that's why we see the person crying. They have difficulty managing all kinds of emotions, and especially difficult emotions, sadness, guilt. Somebody will look at their child, they don't want to hold the child. Or some people, the other side too, they become so protective. They don't want anybody to come around the baby. If you are coming to visit them, they won't allow you to see the baby. The, nobody, they want to protect their child. So you can have either of them. It's either they are very sad or very protective, or they isolate themselves. All these are indications of postpartum depression or psychosis. Pacho, is it well covered? Talk to her, give her all the support that you can. Over time, she'll be able, and then when she's feeling sad, if there's somebody she can talk to the husband in this case, continue to give assurance. Some men become offended. You've given birth and you're crying, what is this? And then they are upset, making the whole issue difficult, right? So everyone around this person, we continue to protect her, talk to her, encourage her. They are often able to come out of it. Right? Thank you very much for that question.
Sister, you have a question. The tree group. That's one. Yeah.
So I want to ask if a child, she has a like anytime she's moving up, she did not expect. She be jumping like that's my first.
That's the first question.
Like the first anytime he or she says someone talking too much, like she feels so like is it stress or like somebody talking like she gets angry.
Yes.
I want to know whether it's stress or I don't.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, since we are learning about mental health, we don't want to call anybody mad. When you say mad, it's a stigma. And that's why people don't want to go, hey, me, I'm not mad, though, so they won't go and see a professional. So you are saying that this child is not a sign of any it's you said that the child is 6 years. So what we do, I don't want to diagnose the child. What we do is that we have to find out from the school, is the behavior being repeated at school? Are teachers seeing it? If you see one behavior at home and you see a different behavior at school, it means that it's more or less about behavior control, how we are teaching the child. But if they see the same thing disrupting the child's activity in school is happening at home, then we have to query maybe attention deficit or hyperactivity in the child, and we can teach them. These are behavior issues that the child will have to help so that they can unlearn it. Some people are able to learn at some stage, they outgrow that hyperactivity. You won't see them again, but you never know which path the child is on. So if it persists and we see it also happening in school, then it's important we seek professional assistance. They will do an assessment, they'll go to the school, assess the child, they'll come to the home, assess the child, and then they can say that, okay, this is the diagnosis, or this is the issue, this is what we can do to help the child. And then the second person, some people, they are irritable. Irritable means what? How do I even easily, yeah, they just get easily annoyed, easily irritated. And so maybe the second person you are describing that they get what? When somebody is talking too much, it's like you are disturbing them. So it's a level of irritability. They can learn to control it. It's not a severe mental health issue, it's a more an interpersonal issue that they will need to manage it, right? Because we have certain expectations. The fact that you are not talking doesn't mean that another person shouldn't talk. So it's more about it's about managing irritation. Some people have low tolerance for that, and that seems to be what we are presenting. Thank
I
you.
have a question. You keep saying that seek professional. Where are the professionals? You are going to a doctor and hospital to have experience.
Thank you. That's a very good question. So when it comes to mental health, we have psychologists handle mental health issues, psychiatrists handle mental health issues. So for psychology, if you go to any of the major hospitals, Trust Hospital, we have psychologists there. Ridge, we have psychologists there. Lekman, we have psychologists there. Kolebu, we have psychologists there. I'm mentioning the public one because I don't want to promote my own services. but but there are also private psychologists available, right? So my number is, I mean, if you come to me, depending on where you are living, we can help locate a professional near you. Doesn't need to be. So I've left my number and email address in the brochure that you can contact us. You can contact me. And as somebody who teaches psychology, I know across the country, all the psychologists, where you are and where how you can get to the closest one so that they can provide the needed help. So thank you for that. Yes. The forgetfulness. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. I should go, but the stomach upset. and forgetfulness. Okay, so we have a large memory, or how do I explain it? I'm trying to break it down. So it's like some of you have Momo, right? You have Momo account. When you are doing something, they ask you for your PIN. So you enter that PIN. We have several pins in our mind. As you are going in life, to accumulate everything you store, even what is happening is stored. But sometimes you forget the key. If you forget the key, the information is in your mind, but you can't retrieve it. But as we age, it becomes worse, right? As we age, our capacity to remember, sometimes we can remember things that happened in 1950, but we can't remember that we just ate breakfast. Do you get it? So it seems like our memory capacity has been exhausted, or we've forgotten our PIN. That's why we don't remember that. And we see it more and more as we are aging, because our demands are many. So our mind trying to protect us by letting us forget some of the things. So when you forget things, thank God that you forgot. There are certain experiences in your life, if you did not forget, you wouldn't. So forgetting has a role. It's functional, it's very good, but sometimes some things you don't want to forget, those ones you forgot, it becomes a problem, right? So as we age, our forgetting, our memory or capacity to remember also goes. Okay. Then the stomach abscess. Okay. So let's say we are here and a snake comes through the door. Immediately, information is sent to your brain that there's danger. So your brain has been developed, our creator, he's very wonderful. A signal is sent to your stomach, stop processing food. We don't need that right now. Send all information to your hands, to your legs, to get ready to run. So it leaves your bowel area free. It's not it's not being controlled by your brains anymore. So you feel like peeing several times, right? Or some people, they'll go to the loo several times because the brain is not controlling that part at that moment. It has sent information to the core areas of your body that need attention, your mind, how you are thinking, and your arms to get you running so that you run out of danger. And so that's why we see a lot of people if there's a tragic information, all of a sudden they want to go to the washroom because the brain has stopped sending the energy to that side of. You don't need that for survival right now. Say stay, use your hand, use your leg, run away. And so that's why we see that. Yes, please. Can I let me try and respond to a question here, then I'll come back to the case. So I'll read it. I'm so happy we're talking about mental health as Christians. It's such a taboo. Many people are going through it, but are afraid to voice it out because of shame. Let's keep this discussion going. It's such an important topic. Thank you, and that's from Leticia. And okay, question. A Christian suffering from mental health, why do we have to seek professional help when I have the Holy Spirit in me and Jesus as the perfect healer? Why not rely solely on him for my healing instead of human help? That is a wonderful topic. I'm going to handle it right now because he knows our traumas best, knows our issues and how to solve them. But we have to rely fully and solely on him. That's a wonderful question. That's a wonderful question. I said, thank you very much, Leticia. As Christians, God has given us, endowed us with a lot of strength, but we have our different strengths. You may be good at accounting. Somebody is good at managing. I am good at helping people talk about their mental health issues. Do you see that? So it is not a sign of weakness that we seek a psychologist's help. In fact, it shows that we are showing that we value the life God has given us. Just as you go and see a medical doctor when you have a medical issue, a mental health professional is also a doctor of the mind. It is not against the Bible. It's not against Christian principle that we seek help for ourselves, provided that the person you are seeing is not asking you to do something unspiritual. And that's why I'm saying that you have to see a professional who is well trained and they are not going to violate your Bible principle, right? So, in fact, God has endowed each one of us with the ability to process our own emotions, but He also realizes that there are some of us who will need extra help. And He's made it possible for some of us to receive that training to support each other, right? So, going to seek a professional is not that you are turning your back on God. In fact, you are saying that God, I thank you that you have created another human being who has the skill to support me through this. Please, the computer, the thing is off. So as Christians, we should rather take the lead in protecting our health. When we do that, we show people that we value the life God has given us. There are some issues you say that I want to pray about it, you pray, but there are additional steps you can take to back the prayers. Do you get it? So that's a very good question that we have has been raised. Seeking professional help is not a show of lack of faith in God. It's rather a proof that you think God has the power to heal you through another human being. Just as a medical doctor, God, in fact, God uses these people to heal us. He can use a mental health professional to help us deal with our mental health issues. So thank you very much again, Tisha, for that wonderful question. Now, I was going to, please, can I have your question? Then I'll come to you, please. She's gotten up several times. Mhm. Body pains. Mhm. Yeah, yeah. A psychologist, yes. So the question is, there's someone who has difficulty expressing emotions, and so the person experiences it in the bodily form, bodily pains. Okay, that is so true for many people. They don't verbalize or talk about the feeling. So some people, they will not feel it in their body. They act. They'll pick something, hit someone, right? Instead of saying, I feel angry, they act angry. There are two different things. Feeling angry and acting angry are two different things. For such a person, they will need to be helped knowing how to label their emotions, how to talk about their emotions, make sure they don't build up. There are some of us, something happens, we don't talk about it, so it keeps building up. The day we explode, we are shocked ourselves. I didn't think I could behave this way. It's because we have a build up. So such a person can receive help, practical assistance on how to deal with the emotional buildup before it gets to a point where we somatize. And I've talked about most of us, we go to the hospital, the doctor, my back, my pain, they say, okay, go for lab, you go nothing. So you go several times, they don't find anything. It's because we say we somatize. It's like the pain is in our body, we haven't expressed it. You see, emotions are powerful. If you don't talk about them, they'll find a different way of affecting you. And the different ways our bodies take on unexpressed emotions. So some people, if you look at them, maybe they are young, but they look very old because they've stomached so many things that they haven't processed. They talk to a professional, next time you see them, you think they have reduced 10 years down. It's because we are helping them to relieve all the sad or difficult emotions that have been suppressed. So such a person will also benefit from that. They will teach the person specific skills to help them manage their emotions. Thank you. Now, please, sorry about that. Mm-hmm. You. Who rest? One was them now. Okay. Now who say women when mu koko kakra. Yebekasa. Fine. Sama. Why? You. It's like okay. So for friends on the platform, she's talking about um thinking too much or worrying. Some of us, life has not been fair to us. So when we think that we are doing something about our problem, and it becomes part of our ways of being. Some of us, if I tell you to stop worrying, tell me and do what? Because we are used to it. You see. So yes, I will talk to her. The way she's emotional, I'll talk to her. Then there's a hand here, Letitia, and then I'll come to you. How would it come? Okay. Letitia, could you please write your question because I don't think the audio will help us. So if you could please write your question, I'll read it. Thank you. To seek help, right? It's that's what your question is the one I can't answer because the question is how do you help someone seek help? Often when it's best when the person themselves say, I think I have a problem, I'm going to seek a psychologist or a professional. That one is easy. You've done half of the work for us. Then, if that is not working, maybe a family member or somebody who is close by notices there's a problem and they'll talk to the person to come and maybe they'll accompany the person to come and seek help. That also works. But we can't force people to come and receive help. And that is a challenge for us because I mean, I've been to people's home, they'll say that my partner is having an issue. I wanted to come and see you. The person says, I don't have a problem. The law in Ghana does not allow me to force anybody. So we just keep encouraging the person. We don't give up. Occasionally, people want to set up, okay, I want you to pretend you are, I can't pretend anything. So the encouragement is that if you ask the person these days, because we can talk on the phone, so people don't want to see you for the first time, but they don't mind talking on the phone with you just to break the ice, then they'll come and see you. So constant encouragement, and ultimately the person might show up. But we can't force anyone. The only time we force people is when the law says if the person is incapacitated or they're in danger, like the person cannot think anymore or they are dangerous, then the law requires that the person can force to receive help. But once the person is functional, they can eat, walk, and do everything, and they say they don't want to see a psychologist or mental health professional, it's difficult. It's difficult to get them to seek help. So that's a difficult question. I don't have an answer. We should continue to encourage the people. It takes time. It takes time. Keep encouraging them, and hopefully they will respond. It's one of the difficult challenges we face right now, helping people to actually go and seek the help. Everybody around them knows that there's an issue, but they themselves are saying, I don't have a problem, or I don't want to see anybody. And that becomes a challenge. Okay. It is. That's the first one. Okay. Yeah. Who bears the cost? Hey, it's a good question. I'll answer that. Very good. And then the third question. Okay, I'll try the first when it comes ask me. Okay, so the question, yes, for the sake of virtual sisters, the question is if we know that, and I don't know that for a fact, but I give Annie to my kids anyway. I hope that they improve their memory. But the question is, if Annie improves memory, why don't we give them to older ones, elderly ones, so that it will improve their memory? Okay, very good question. I'm not a cognitive psychologist. So, yes, I'm not in that area, but this is what happens. When you are growing up, it's a period of growth. The brain develops several synapses. Gosh, let me break it down. So it's like the brain is now developed, okay? So there are several hairs that are developing, different areas that are developing. That is the period of growth. After certain stage, the growth goes down. It doesn't matter how much honey or how much supplement you take. Now, different parts of the brain, instead of growing, they die. Instead of growing, they stop growing. It's like human growth. We at a certain age, we stop growing heights. You can eat whatever you want. You will not gain any more heights. It's the same with our brain. So that's why the encouragement is that we help our kids at a very tender age to build up all the growth that they need. Because after a certain point, no growth goes on. What you have is maintenance. And people have gone through some traumatic experiences that at certain point in their age, that's where you see the deficit, right? And so the main point is that let's invest now in the children. It gets to a certain stage, you can give them all the nutrients in the world they have reached. Have you seen somebody who is 25 and still growing high? That's a problem. Your child 16 by 21 they've reached. You can't add any height to them, right? You can add weight, but you can't add height. And so it's the same thing with our brains that when we reach a certain stage, it's not about our nutrition. The brain parts have already grown. The second question is, in case you accompany a friend to see a psychologist, who bears the cost? It depends on where you are going. So if you go to most of the government sector, they are not expensive. Seeing a psychologist is like going to see a doctor at any of the public hospitals. It's not expensive. Unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, depending on where you are. Private psychologists are expensive because they don't receive any government subvention. So you are looking at somewhere between 100 Ghana cedis to about 400 Ghana cedis for 1 hour. 1 hour. If you go and see a psychologist, let's say today you see me, we spend about 1 hour. That's the maximum. Some people can go a bit above, and you pay like 100 cedis or 200 cedis, 300 cedis, or 400. It is per session. Who bears the cost? If your sister doesn't have, and you have, you may decide to bear the cost for something, and you also don't have. Then the encouragement strongly is to use the government setup because there you don't have to pay. In fact, I think in Lekma, you don't pay anything to see a psychologist, but we have several psychologists there because they are in the government setup, right? I've seen instances where if somebody will accompany someone to the session, the friend doesn't have money. The person they accompany also doesn't have money. And so now it depends on the benevolence of the professional to say, looking at your case, you just go. In fact, if I ask you money, it's even going to compound your problem. So the issue of who pays depends. But if you go to the government setup, it's relatively free, right? But then if you choose to see a private person, then the cost is between 100 and 400 Ghana cedis per session, per 1 hour.
I have a question.
Yes.
You just walk between of the government hospital and say,
Yes, they'll be happy. So the question is, do you just walk to a government hospital and say that you want to see a psychologist? And my answer is yes. Just walk in, say you want, when you go to the OPD, say you are coming to see either the mental health team or the psychologist, and they will send you to the office. They like that. What is happening is that in Ghana, I know some of our friends may not be in Ghana, but in Ghana, people don't like to see the psychologist walk in and see them. So it's the medical doctor, after they've listened to you, they've done all the labs, say, your pain, we've done different, we not, okay, please go and see the psychologist. That's how people end up. So they'll be very happy if somebody walks in by themselves and say, I want to see a psychologist. That is very encouraging to see. You have a question? That's my word, so okay, madam. Okay. Okay, so that
okay, so talking about forgetfulness in old age, as she said, it's common if we are doing things happen and then we tend to forget. Like we have too many things anyway. God did it in such a way that you forget something, as you move on. But what I wanted to say is that sometimes it becomes extreme. The forgetfulness we can say is in stages or levels. So it becomes extreme, and you need to know about those ones. This address this question about her mother, 85-year-old, and how she's behaving. I think it's a little extreme. My mother was about that age when I noticed that she started forgetting things. Like you said, her salary, she go and collect the salary, from the bank and come and put it somewhere, and will be complaining that somebody has stolen the money. We will search for the money all over, we will find it. Then maybe a day after, you go and see that she has put the money somewhere, then you put it to her. It started like that. And I was wondering what at all is going on, because I think it was becoming too much. And then she can eat. After breakfast, she'll tell you the whole day she hasn't eaten. When somebody comes to the house and asks the whole day, and so if you don't understand, the person will think that you are being wicked to your mother. But it's not like that. The whole day, she hasn't given me anything. I haven't eaten anything. Hey. So it continued and continued. But then I sought help. I went to see the professional. I went somewhere at the hospital, and then we were told after some tests that she had dementia. That's why I want to say that it's important to know whether at that age they can develop dementia where they really forget about the things. Like she said, she can remember things that happened in her childhood, but things that happened yesterday and this morning she will forget. And so that was it. But the important thing is that once you know, you are also helped to know how to manage it. So she'll be exhibiting all this, forgetfulness and all that, but you don't get angry with her. Otherwise, you frustrate her the more. So when you understand that she has dementia, then you know how to deal with her. You see, women have it more than men, right? And you know how to deal with her. When she says things like that, you just say, okay, and try to encourage it. My mother will come to my house and say, this chair, she bought it, it's for her. I said, okay. I will just say, okay. My bowls in the house, she said they are for her. I'll say, okay. If you don't understand and she says things like that, then you are also angry. Why are you saying all this? Then you complicate the problem. So if you see this experience, I think it's good to seek help. And once you are told that, you'll be taught about how to handle the person. Thank you.
okay. Okay. Okay, we'll come. Yes. 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 It's related to what Madame was saying. So we have the older people issue, but also um, some people can suffer momentary memory loss. They can't remember their names. They can't remember where they live. They can't remember their way to their home. So these are moments, and when they happen, these are crises. We need to get immediate attention for the person. Mhm. Yes, I don't know about treatment for dementia, but for the other psychological issues or mental health issues, depending on severity, they may or we may recommend medication. For some people, there are certain conditions like bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, some forms of depression. You oh, so the schizophrenia is the one I said. The person says maybe they can hear voices, they can see things, or the bipolar is the person swings from one mood to the other. It's either they are depressed or they are hyperactive. For these ones, we know that they are chronic. Because they are chronic, the person will have to take medication. So it's not just talk. The person will need to be on medication in addition to talking to the professional. What the professional is doing is that they are providing opportunities for the person to understand their illness and give them practical steps that they should follow to manage and live with the condition, right? But then the medication is going to correct some of the chemical imbalance. So it will not, cure. It doesn't cure, but help the person to manage the situation. So I think you have a question. Yes. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. You can also. It's a very good question that I don't have the answer, but I'll give you a general response. So remember I said that mental health issues are often related to brain dysfunctions or what. Sometimes you might have a family member with the condition, not necessarily dementia, because that's not my area, but you might have a family member with the condition. It means that you have a risk. When we say we have a risk, it's like they've given some foundation. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are also going to develop the condition. We can't predict it. The only time we can predict is when it's identical twins, identical interform. So my answer in English is this coming. Okay. So when you have twins and one develops the illness, like I said, is called schizophrenia, the likelihood is that the other twin will develop because they share the same genes, right? That's the only time we can predict. But for family members, it just tells you that you need to take extra precaution because a family member has had the issue. Okay. And sometimes if we do a thorough exam, we can tell whether the person's, say, dementia is genetic or not. Some of them say genetic, meaning then your risk of developing it is high. But if it's circumstantial or it's based on life experiences, then it's not likely that you develop it. So it's not, if your mother has dementia, it's not 100% sure that you have it. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, a sister was just reminding me of an elderly person with dementia that because of the risk of his going out and he's not able to come home, we made a tag, something like a necklace around him. In case you find him somewhere, call this number or something. So he keeps wearing the tag everywhere. And then when he starts it, and age is catching up on us. I went to Dummy Market with my car. I parked the car. Then I hear the truck was saying, Abum Jasha, Abum Jasha. And, I entered the truck. So when he started leaving, I just came to myself and said, well, I came with my car. So I told them, so I'll get down. So when he was sitting, I said, God, we are nearing the time. So please take care of us. Amen. So some people have
Yeah. The children. Absolutely. Yes, 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 yes. Yes. Okay, thank you very much. Let me repeat the question. She's asking. Nowadays, we have our children hooked on their laptops, iPad, phones, social media. What effect will that have on them in the long run? And you answered your own question. Because one thing we need to develop in early childhood is interpersonal skills, meaning how we relate to others. There are some children, they stick glued to their iPad from morning to this weekend. No interaction. What we know is that children grow best when they interact with their peers. Playing with them, they learn rules about interactions with people. When they play in the sun, in the open nature, they learn about different creativity or creative ideas. So we can't say that children should not use their iPads and phones, but there should be boundaries. How much time you allow your children to spend, okay? Because these gadgets could also learn some things there that if they hadn't been exposed to that space, they wouldn't know it. And the world they're living in is going to be digitalized more than ourselves. So they need to be able to develop that skill too. So we need a balance. In some countries, there are laws. Your children do not spend more than 4 hours, depending on their age, 2 hours, 4 hours in a day on their gadgets. So every family will have to make an important decision for their children. Otherwise, we are looking at a future where our children are going to be socially awkward. When they meet people face to face, they lack the skills, but give them a gadget in their mouth. So we need a balance to help them. Just a minute, just a minute. Addition. Polyclinic. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so another resource is the polyclinic. They have the community mental health nurses there, psychiatric nurses. that you can talk to. Thank you very much. That's done strictly.
No, the third, there's this brother, I don't want to mention the name. We put it in the shed. It's not so obvious.
Yes.
We say in case of emergency, you see, if he falls down somewhere, people will try to help. Then they may see the child and help. It's not something that is so obvious that people won't see. So we have to do it with a lot of discretion.
Yes. Or you can have a watch. In some countries, it comes in the form of a watch, anything, or an ID card, anything on them that is not obvious to bad people to take advantage of. So very good question. Yes, ma'am. Mhm. They do it. They read. Read. Okay. Health issue. I'm not familiar with it. I'll look into that. But even for any human being, if you stay at one stage, as one state, continuous, no blood flow, you are restricting blood flow, and that can affect you. Sometimes you yourself, when you sit down for a long time and you are getting up, you see that your leg is stiff, you know. So I don't know. I don't know about what you say, but I can look into it. Please, you had a question.
Praise the Lord.
Okay.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Because of time, we want to thank Dr. Osei-Tutu so much. The telephone number is there, the email address is there, and just get in touch. I know there are some personal issues, we can't bring it out, and she's ready to help us. We thank her so much, and we say, please, next time we invite you, come again.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed talking with you. Thank you so much. Please, let's take the message to our home and encourage others wherever they are. And know that with our effort, that God can also bless the little. Thank you so much.
Can we have time? Sister Frida. Sister Frida to pray for us and we go for our lunch. Thank you. Amen. 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 Please be seated. We are going for lunch break, and immediately we come back, we have message 3. But group 2 and group 3 should be ready for their presentation anytime before the close of the day. So group 2 and group 3. We'll come back